Today we are going to look into IoT hardware, where we have several classes like the brain, the brain of the system, the IoT system, the general circuit elements, the actuators, and the sensors. So that's how these four are linked. The sensors collect data controlled by the circuit elements, control in terms of limiting of current, limiting of voltages. Then if there are some gates, you can now convert them into digital signals using an ADC, which is we can just put it as a general element in our circuits or in our systems, the ICs, the gates, the logic gates, then the op amps for amplification of the signals, then the microcontrollers receive signals from the sensors via the ICs or the general circuit elements, which include the resistors. You can use a resistor to limit current that goes into the pinouts of the microcontroller. You can also use capacitors to smoothen some circuits, or even to store some charges for your operations based on your functioning of the circuit. You can even use the resistors, the ports, in case, especially in the PWM, that is pulse width modulation. These are just the ports, the potential dividers. Then you can also limit voltage using these voltage regulators. Basically a voltage regulator, 5-volt one. So let's say your circuits are connected to a system which outputs more than 5 volts, and we know our microcontrollers need only 5 volts, so we'll regulate the voltage to 5 volts using these voltage regulators. Then now when we go into the sensors are the devices that now collect data from the environment, either digital or analog, then convey it through the circuitry to our microcontroller. And now we have several microcontrollers like the Arduino Uno. This is the microprocessor of the Arduino Uno, the Ultimate family. This is the slot for the microprocessor. This is Arduino Uno. It's a microcontroller. You can use ESP32 as your microcontroller. Then you can use even a Raspberry Pi. Then we now look into several components that we are having here. We cannot demystify all of them. So these are a sensor, an LPG sensor, senses liquid petroleum gas. We have this is MQ5 for LPG gas. This is MQ7 CO, senses gas, that's CO, carbon monoxide. Then we have a driver here. It's a bridge. It drives higher voltage and higher current components in our systems, especially how we are controlling a motor using our Raspberry Pi, Arduino Uno, or ESP32. Will need a driver because our microcontroller cannot suffice the current that is needed by the motors, these motors. So motors are one of the actuators in our systems or in our IoT systems. Motors, there are many types of motors. It's just a brushless DC motor. Then you can have stepper motors. You can have motors are so diverse. You can even control AC motors using the microcontroller, but via some modules. So when you look at these, to see it very well. When you look at these, you can control an AC motor using this, whereby your signals from the microcontroller comes through these ports, these pinouts. Then your your AC motor terminals can be put at these points here. Now we have so many types of sensors. This is the humidity sensor and temperature sensor, ultrasonic sensor. We have other actuators like the buzzers. This is an active buzzer, this is passive buzzer. These are just components that we use in our IoT systems. We are just looking into very few components. Then there is this one. This one is for displays, an LCD display. It's an LCD display whereby you can output your data. Let's say now you collect data temperature values. They go into a Raspberry or ESP32 or the Arduino. Then now you output them or you display the values on the LCD. On this side we have a multimeter, we have capacitors, we have some power supply. These are breadboard, these are just displays. Then these are the bridge we talked about. This is a support, a potentiometer, and I think with these there are so many gates here. These are moisture sensor, soil moisture sensor to be specific. There are some op-amps here, voltage regulators, capacitors, and so much sensors around here. These are power supply for our systems, especially when we want to supply so many sensors that our microcontrollers, the Arduino Uno and the ESPs or the Raspberry Pis pin out or fan out is used optimally, or when we need to supply more sensors that our microcontroller cannot handle. So we will use an external power supply. We can connect it to this power supply. Then we get a 5 volts or 3.3 volts power supply for our sensors or even some actuators. So I think with this we can start doing some meaningful projects. And next we'll be introducing Arduino IDE and we'll do our first project.